I've had this idea for a while, and since it's NaNoWriMo, I'm going to try and get it down on paper. That said, the only paper I have it on right now is a toilet paper roll wrapper. So I'm going to dictate this outline, just an overview of the plot as I see it to this point. Not the entire plot, but the beginning of it. And hopefully this will be interesting to look back on as the rest of the story unfolds. I am going to simply name the people by what they are in the story because the language is not super easy to say, and I don't want to be stumbling over that while I am in the process of working through the rest of this. So this focuses on a woman. She is wife to a prince of the country, and she is not from that country. She's from a different country. We first encounter her as she is preparing for a royal celebration at home, but she is interrupted by an invasion of people from her home country. She doesn't know this immediately, but she finds out that it's people from her home country as they come in and they attack her family, killing off all of the tíos and her husband, and breaking down the egg hanging that she had in the center of their home. She is able to hide away 3 of her children before she is found, and the intruders attempt to take her with them back to her home country. She fights to stay where she's at and succeeds getting away from them because they don't want to hurt her, but having a hard time figuring out what she's supposed to do now that all this has happened, and it appears that her home is not the only home that has been attacked. She is taken by the king to his home, and she is determined to be responsible for the death of his brother and his nieces and nephews and all the tíos involved, because he is so lost at the killing off of all of his children and eggs, and the damaging of his wife, Queen, and so he is not in his right mind. The tíos realize this, the royal tíos realize this, and help her to get away. They can't really do much of anything, but they do give her the information that it appears that her husband wasn't actually killed, that the king received a ransom note for him, and that he was simply taken, and she would have been with her husband had she gone, but she didn't know that. She goes into hiding again, getting her 3 children back, and attempting to find a way to get to her home country again, only to find out as she is getting closer to being able to get back there that she has been deemed a traitor because she refused to return immediately. So she is not allowed to return there, and because she was sentenced under the law of the country she's in, she's lost everything. She's stripped of all of her rights in that country and has to get out to somewhere else. So she and the 3 children escape to a third country where they settle, but are viewed with suspicion and kind of some disgust. There is a queen with her 3 children, but she has no king, no husband. She has no tios. She has no house and no eggs. And it is unbelievable to the people of that country that there's not something wrong with her and her line. But she's able to find an abandoned home to move into, and she sets up house in what is essentially a hovel left over from a prior family that moved on, died out. We pick up the story about this point where she has actually learned that her husband was at some point actually killed. So her personal king was killed, and she is trying to explain to her son why they cannot return to their previous home, even though they, aren't super happy there. We go forward through a period where she's explaining how to make it in this new country, as she thinks back over her efforts to get to her husband while she thought he was still alive, and the failure that only recently happened as she realized that he had been killed while she made those efforts. And I think that it's going to go forward to continue the story with her trying to think of ways that she can restore her family to some semblance of stability and respect, and hoping for at least one of her children to develop into what we are calling a princess, into a fertile female when she hits puberty, and finding ways to make the life that she has there bearable for her and for her children. I don't know. I'm liking the overall advancement of the plot. I kind of left out a lot of background and a lot of what possibly makes the story interesting to me, but I think that is enough that I will at least be able to remember what I'm thinking about if I return to this while I am writing. Bye bye.